Hello, everybody. I am back for another NFL prediction video. This is my thoughts for all eight divisions, as well as my thoughts for the playoff bracket, and as well as the floors and ceilings for each of the teams. Next video will probably be on the individual awards. This is just focused mainly on teams. Let's start with the AFC North. This is my prediction. I think the Baltimore Ravens win it. They take the third seed. The Pittsburgh Steelers will take the seventh seed, and the Cincinnati Bengals will take the five seed in the playoffs. I think the Browns miss. I go with the Steelers over the Browns mainly because Steelers don't win with it. Steelers still have a losing season, and B, I trust their defense a bit more. The only spot where I think I trust the Browns a bit more would be secondary wise on defense, but Steelers have really good front. Browns have the better line, but and then both teams don't have good quarterbacks. But anyway, that's my prediction. Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns. In the East, I think the Dolphins win it. They take the four seed. Also, if you're wondering what the X, Y, and Z is, uh, if you know predictions, it has X, Y, and Z on the playoff bracket. X is of course wild card, Y additional round, Z is one seed. Anyways, Dolphins win the division. They take the four seed. I think the Bills take the six seed. The Jets miss and Patriots miss. I think this is going to be the order. I do not trust the Jets at all this year. Even when Rodgers comes back, they still have a couple question marks on their team. Um, I think the Patriots miss as well. They're too young to really do anything. I feel like they have potential to do damage, but is it too early? And I think right now it is too early for the Patriots. As and Jets, I think they're a complete opposite problem. I think they're too old to make much of an impact, especially with Aaron Rodgers at later in his career, and they still I don't trust their weapons all too much. But then again, Rodgers has well with weapons regardless, and then the defense I think will still be good. But how much will the defense have to carry the offense again if Rodgers and the offense struggles? As for the Pats, still don't know what Drake May is yet. I like Stevenson and they're okay in the run game and they have a good line, but but they don't really have many good weapons. And the defense has pieces, but how much will they have to rely on defense again? Um, AFC South, Houston takes it. Tennessee, I think, will be second. I think they'll slightly miss. Same with Jacksonville, Indianapolis. I went with this because I think the Titans have the highest ceiling of all these teams of two to four. I think the Texans are the best team out of the South. I think they will win the division. I have them the two seed. I have them playing Baltimore in the conference championship, except playing Baltimore in division round, except they host the Ravens this time. Um, that would be a good matchup right there. Um, I think they're I think they're the third best team right now in the AFC. The second or third best team in the AFC right, with the Ravens, and then the Bengals are the four right behind those three. Right now it's Chiefs, Texans, Ravens, and then Bengals. And I think the Texans are just going to be that good of a team. I think they have a good ceiling. I like their weapons. They have really good weapons. I like the moves that they did on defense. Um, I think with the amount of moves they made, I think that puts them over the top, and they win the South. Titans also made some good moves with L'Jarius Need and Tony Pollard and of course Calvin Ridley. And I think with that, I think that gives them the highest ceiling of each of these three teams left. We can make the same argument that if all of that flops and Will Levinson do well, that they could have maybe the lowest floor of all these teams left. But I'm leaning with ceiling here. I think the Titans have the high ceiling of each of these teams, which is Jacksonville and Indianapolis. And right now, roster wise, give me Jacksonville. I especially like their defense better than Indianapolis's. And Trevor Lawrence just got extended, and he's gonna want to prove that he is the guy moving forward. As for the West, Kansas City, of course, is the one seed again. Um, I'm not playing them safe this year. I think they'll be the one seed. I think they're gonna be the team that nobody wants to face in the playoffs yet again. Question is how far will they go? It's usually teams don't repeat, but question is how far will they go in the playoffs? Is Patriots didn't repeat, Cowboys didn't repeat, and those are the two most recent repeat winners. And before Kansas City. Second, I went with the Chargers. Once again, with the Titans, I think they have the highest ceiling left of these teams left with once again all the moves they made this offseason. And I do like Jim Harbaugh. I think he could be the best head coach, best new head coaching hire. Raiders are third, Broncos fourth. Once again, you can make an argument for either of those two teams. One of these spots, but I think the Broncos have the lowest floor of these teams that are left. And I think that floor could haunt them. I don't know if I trust Sean Payton. I don't know how Bo Nix is going to do. Broncos have a lot of question marks. Same with the Raiders, but the Raiders have the better overall roster right now, at least. I spot where they might be worse for now is quarterback, but I like the Raiders' weapons more. I like the Raiders' tight ends more. I like the line more. I think the only spot where I think I like the Broncos more besides quarterback is the defense. But 3 and 4 are definitely up there, and as the far I got the Chargers too. NFC North, Detroit in the one, Green Bay second. And they also take the 6th seed, Chicago 3, Minnesota 4. Once again, going basically off of ceilings, how high each of these team ceilings is. Obviously, Detroit should make a Super Bowl run this year, just like Houston, just like all the other young teams that are left. Um, I think Green Bay is second, right behind them. Then the Bears and Vikings. Bears, I think, will be the most improved team. I think they go from uh a well, not really a bad record, that's a mediocre record, to a 9-8 or an 8-9 record, like that fringe playoff contender. Um, as for Minnesota, just like Denver, rookie quarterback, don't know what to make of that. Um, Obviously Justin Jefferson was just extended, so you don't have to worry about that. Jordan Addison is a good number two. And of course, I like their tight end TJ Hawkinson, and they have a good line. But the problem with the Vikings is the defense. Now they did take the defensive end trap get Dallas Turner, I think his name is. They took him in the first round last year. I think he'll have a good year. And and they got pieces, but I don't know how much that'll impact them moving forward. As I said before, I'm basically looking at the ceilings of these teams, and right now, I think the Bears could have the higher ceiling than Minnesota, and I think the Bears might have a higher floor than Minnesota. I think this is both the lower floor and the lower ceiling. Um, Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders. Giants and Commanders, I think are right there. You can make an argument for either one to be the three and to be the four, mainly because you do trust more Jaden Daniels or Daniel Jones. And I know some people are saying that they really like Jaden Daniels and they think he could be one of our QBs next year. So as a result, he could move the Commanders third into the division. But right now, I don't see it. I think the Giants has a better overall roster, or especially taking Malik Neighbors in the first round, and then of course they took a tight end in the third round. So I think that they could make an impact with him and Daniel Bellinger, their rookie last year, who's coming into his second year, even without Darren Waller, who just announced his retirement a couple weeks ago. Um, as for Dallas, I think that they might Dallas, I think, might struggle a bit. I think they could have a roller coaster type year where they'll have some really good games and a really bad game. And I think it'll be another of those Dak Prescott years where as I said before with Dak Prescott, I don't trust him in the big games, but he'll swallow up the smaller games. Like he'll beat up on the bad teams, inflate his stats, and then lose to a contender. And I think it'll look like that again, where Dak makes a Pro Bowl, has a really good year, but 90% of those stats come from playing bad teams. Anyways, enough of that. I think the Eagles are 3 seed, Cowboys take the 5 seed. NFC South, we got Tampa Bay in the 4, New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina. I've seen arguments for Atlanta to win the division, and right now I just can't see it. I think if they went more defensive heavy in the draft, and they might have taken a guy like Latu or Turner or one of the corners at that spot, but instead they took like a quarterback, Michael Penix, who's like 23, 24 years old. So as a result, when Kirk Cousins does leave in 2, 3 years, he'll be his late 20s, which doesn't really make sense. But that's my biggest complaint with the Atlanta Falcons is how much do I like Kirk Cousins? I think he'll have a really good year, and I like most of their weapons, but how much do you, how much baggage can you really get out of guys like Rondale Moore, Darnell Moore and Darnell Mooney at your wide receiver 2 and your wide receiver 3. And of course, your wide receiver 1 is Drake London, who's really good. Of course, they have Bijan Robinson and Pitts, who are both really good. But this feels like a team that will either be I had them right now mediocre, but this team could both be a really good team and a really, really bad team, like a very disappointing team. As for New Orleans and Carolina, I think the Saints will be second in the South, but I think most of that comes off of a good defense. How much does Derek Carr have left in the tank? I don't think he had much left in the tank. But if uh but if he starts to struggle, then maybe you can make the argument that Atlanta jumps them in the division and Saints fall to third. I don't think the Saints go past third in the division. I think Carolina's gonna have another really bad year. As I said before, they have one of the worst rosters in the entire league. And when I do my power rankings, I'll talk more about that. But yeah, I think Carolina is the worst team in the division and probably one of the worst in the entire league. How much? And the bigger question is how much is that on Bryce Young? And the thing with Carolina is I think they're gonna have a bad year, but I think they're gonna stick with Bryce Young for another year. They gave up too much for him, and I think it's gonna be like another Bears with Justin Fields thing, where they're just gonna try to build around Young for another year, see what he has, and if he starts to struggle and they have another high pick, then I think Kalahati officially begins year 3 instead of year 2 because they gave up so much for him. And finally, NFC West. San Francisco won. I think they'll have the 1 seed yet again. Um, they have they have too many pieces. They they still have both Ayuk and Debo. Uh, Brock Purdy going into another year. I think by the end of the season he'll be extended and he'll be extended long term with a giant contract like what Trevor Lawrence got a couple days ago. Over you got George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey who just got extended. But anyways, for the 49ers, I think they're the one to do to having the best roster in the division and and probably the entire NFC. Number two, I have the Rams taking the 7th seed. I think that last playoff spot could come down to the Rams or Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are gonna have a really good year, especially running the ball. Is Mike McDonald will probably bring over the heavy run scheme from Baltimore and give guys like Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet the ball a lot. They'll probably play the clock management game with heavy run defense and good defense, heavy run offense and good defense. So I think as a result, I think the Seahawks will be third in the division, but I think they'll show enough promise to where I think they'll have a good year moving forward. And finally, number four, the Arizona Cardinals. I think they're the worst team in the division, but they could have a really good year. Like if I'm completely honest, they could have like a 7-10, maybe even 6-11, 7-10 season. I think they're probably right up there with uh with Seattle and the Rams. I think 49ers definitely by far the best in the division, but I think the Rams and Seahawks might put up a fight. The Cardinals have one of the higher ceilings in the division. All right. Now moving on to the bracket itself. This is as I said before, what the bracket looks like. Kansas City has the 1 seed. Houston, Houston hosts the Steelers. Baltimore, Bills travel to Baltimore, and the Bengals head to Miami. Um, I think this is a good bracket right here. Um, Bengals Miami is going to be a really good game, and then we got Bills and Ravens on offense versus defense on offense versus defense showdown with the Bills and their defense versus the Ravens their offense, and then Steelers and Houston and another defense versus offense battle. And then the NFC bracket, Rams head to Detroit, Eagles host Green Bay, and the Dallas Cowboys head to Tampa Bay. Not much to say here. As I for these four are really close. I think that Bay's just behind these three. I think for the 49ers, Lions, and Eagles are right up there. They could all be championship contenders by the end of the year. Tampa Bay's right behind them at 4. And then the wild cards, you can make an argument for anybody. You can make an argument for Atlanta. You can make an argument for New Orleans. You can make an argument for Seattle. You can make an argument for, heck, even the Bears or Vikings. But this is what I have for the other 3 wild cards, being Dallas, Green Bay, and the Rams. But yeah, that's my prediction. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys next time.